Welcome in, y'all. Today we're going to be breaking down the Carolina Panthers schedule, going game by game, seeing how we think they're going to do this year. And this is one that is tough because I love the way the Panthers finished the season last year. I think Bryce Young was looking phenomenal. He's kind of reinstated some confidence that he can be the guy. I love the draft pick McMillan. I love that pick. I think some teams were going to trade up to try to get him if the Panthers did not take him. And, I do like what they've done. But at the end of the day, they are still one of the weaker rosters in the NFL. And into a year where there's a lot of good football teams. There's a lot of good football teams. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off. Week 1. This one is a toss-up to me. Jacksonville is favored in this one by 3 points, but I really think this one could go either way. The Jaguars are a team that are kind of hard to read. They've had Lawrence for several years now. They've had some decent pieces. They just can't put it together. They're very confusing. But week 1, I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one, that maybe this year they put it together. I think they just have a better constructed roster at the moment compared to Carolina, but would not be shocked whatsoever to see Carolina win that one. I think it really could go either way. And I think I really like this matchup being week 1 because these are two teams I'm really curious to see. Jacksonville, my question is, are they going to put it all together? Is Lawrence finally going to take the step? Maybe we can see that in week 1. And with Carolina, I'm curious to see how much did they actually improve? Did they improve more than people think they did? And is Bryce Young still keeping up the level of play he had ending last season? Now that stuff is on the line again and you're not just playing with a horrible record, can he keep it up? So I think the winner of this game it's pretty important. So I am excited to see this one, and I think it really could go either way. So excited about that week 1 matchup. Not one that I'll probably have a bunch of eyes on, two bad teams from last year, but I love that week 1 matchup. Week 2 on the road in Arizona. Arizona is a team that, kind of like Jacksonville, they've had their pieces. They have their guy at quarterback. They got Kyler Murray, and they're just trying to put it together. And I think they're better in Jacksonville, and I think Arizona has a much better chance to be the team that puts it together this year. And they really do kind of have a weird floor-ceiling situation there in Arizona. Kyler Murray, can he keep it consistent throughout the whole year? I'm not sure, but I do like them week 2 over the Panthers there. Week 3, this is a game that is tough. I'm going to be honest. I think I'm going to have to make a little switch here. I believe I took the Falcons in my Falcons video, but I'm going to be honest. Looking at this spot, I really do like the Panthers here. And I'm going to take them at home. I think they get the home opener, and they get the win, and they move to 1-2. Then they got to hit the road to New England, a much improved New England team. Carolina feels like they're one step behind the Patriots. I really like what they did. I love the Vrabel hire. You can go check out my video on them. I've already broken it down. And I just like the Patriots in this one. So Panthers fall to 1-3. Week 5, home against the Dolphins. This one is an interesting one. I think the Dolphins surely will be favored in this one. And early in the season, I will assume Tua is healthy. It's tough to ever assume that Tua is going to be healthy because he often isn't. But I will assume it at this point in the year. But I like the Panthers' odds in this one. I like them being home. And I think they can go ahead and get a win here. I think they get the win home against Miami. And then week 6, kind of a similar skill level team coming in. You got Dallas coming into Carolina in week 6. And Dallas is kind of an interesting team this year. Not sure what to fully make of them. They have some really big playmakers at a lot of spots, and they picked up Pickens, but they also have some holes. The running game's a question mark. The O-line's a bit of a question mark, some spots on defense. So I'm in between on them, but I think the Panthers at home have every ability to win this game and move to 3-3. And I think that would be a success thus far into the season for the Panthers. Then they head to New York, a Jets team that I like what they have in New York. This is not a year they're going to be in the playoffs in a very difficult AFC. But Justin Fields is kind of in a prove-it year. They still have Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, all them. They have some playmakers. At home, I will take the Jets in this one. Panthers fall to 3-4. And then Josh Allen and the Bills come to Carolina. Panthers will be hoping for an upset, but I find it unlikely. Bills don't usually drop games like that, so Panthers down to 3-5. And then a tough one, once again, on the road in Green Bay. I think this is a winnable game, but it's not one I'm going to take them to win. I think the Packers are just all around better. They're at home. It's in Lambeau. And that's November at that point. Could be getting chilly. Not that the Panthers, not that that'll necessarily negatively affect them. But then Week 10, I think this is a win against the Saints. I think Saints are going to be one of the worst teams in football, if not the worst team in football. So I feel fairly confident in that pick there. And then you move to Week 11, and I had them beating Atlanta earlier in the year now, and I think Atlanta gets them back on this one. And then Week 12, I believe this one's like a Monday night football game, if I'm not mistaken, in Santa Clara. And, I mean, you can make an argument the Niners could be injured by this point in the year, but assuming a healthy team over there in San Francisco, I will take the Niners, but that could be a spot to watch the Panthers for an upset there. Week 13, another chance for an upset here. They're home against the Rams. I think this is a winnable game for sure. I think this is one that they could sneak out, but I'm not going to lean that way. I do lean Los Angeles here in that one. So a tough little stretch here for the Panthers, probably out of playoff contention at this point. And I do have them losing to the Saints. If you check out my Saints video, 1-16 for them, more than anything, I have the Saints winning this game because I know they're not going to go 0-17, but I don't know who they're going to beat. They had to beat someone, and it just fell on the Panthers in this spot. So unfortunately, they do fall to 4-10. But if I were to pick that game, if it was happening next week, I probably would pick the Panthers, honestly. But then Week 16, home against the Bucks. I think that's a sneaky spot here. I think they can go ahead and get a win. And then Week 17, home against Seattle. I like that as well. I think Seattle might be out of it at this point in the season. I think they go 6-10. And then if Tampa Bay is playing for anything, which unclear, depends on how well Atlanta and even Carolina can keep up with them, or how well Tampa does. But assuming they are playing for something, I will take Tampa Bay in this one. But that's definitely a spot where the Bucs starters could be resting, so you could see another Panthers win there. So 6-11, the final prediction here for the Panthers. Maybe a bit of a disappointing season. I think their fans are hoping that this is kind of a year where they sneak up and I don't know, win. I don't know what would be a successful season in the eyes of Panthers fans. 8 wins, 9 wins. I think this season more than anything, you're not a team built to win the Super Bowl or anything. So the biggest thing you want to see is obvious, make it very obvious that Bryce Young is the guy. He does it 2 seasons in a row. He does it the whole season, and I think that would be enough going into the next season to feel good about what you see here. So let me know what y'all think. 6-11, a bit disappointing, but I mean, there's a lot of tough teams out there, and the Panthers are on their way up. They definitely are. I like the moves they've been making, and it won't be too long before they're one of the better teams if they can keep up the good decisions. But I think this is kind of a bridge year on their way to being good. So 6-11, and I'll see you on the next one.